So I knew what that looked like. Okay. That wasn't me. Matter of fact, proof on air, I married a Hispanic woman that I was married to for 19 years. Racism was the furthest thing from my blood. In the last 10 years, I've seen literally, I want to say zero, but it's probably not zero, but racism hasn't lived in my life, in my surrounding circle, right? So when I'm watching the news and they're making racism to be something that I am not used to seeing or have not seen in my circle, and trust me, I've traveled around the world a dozen times. I've worked in every single state in the United States. I've worked in Canada. I've worked in Mexico. I do not see racism at the level that the media is portraying it. And that is me telling you, my truth is, I've done everything to not see it, to prevent it, and to not allow it into my life. And I just believe if more of us looked at our own truths, we would realize there is probably some isolated cases of racism. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. And we've probably seen some isolated cases of police brutality. I'm not saying that doesn't exist. But if we allow the media to overrun our own truths, then all of a sudden, which is a very small portion of the majority, why should we all change our policies and procedures for something that really isn't as big of a deal as the media is making it out to be? And I don't want to lighten the trials that some people go through as it relates to racism. Again, I admit that it's out there. It just has not been in my life, right? And why? I'm guessing it hasn't been in a lot of people's lives if they really evaluated racism and or police brutality in their lives.
I totally agree. You have people that jump on the bandwagon of this and yeah. You know, they haven't experienced racism. You know?
Yeah.
I haven't seen racism. I've worked in 4 different police departments and stuff like that. I don't care. You know, as a police officer, right, oftentimes we get accused of being racist for car stops that we make or calls for service that we make or whatever. It's like, oh, you stopped me because of this. You stopped me because of that. Oh, you're here because I'm this, because I'm that. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We get a 911 call, we're going to go. And whether the person inside is white, whether they're Republican, whether they're Democrat, whether they're Asian, whether they're Hispanic or whatever, we're going to the call. We have no way of determining or knowing who lives there before we get there, or we do have databases that we could try to figure that type of stuff out, but we get a 911 call, guess what? We go. Let me ask you a question, right? You drive at nighttime often,
yeah,
right? You driving around and everything like that. Can you tell who's driving a vehicle that's got tinted windows?
Yeah, no way.
You can't tell their color. You can't tell their sex. You can't tell how many people are in the car and all that type of stuff. Nobody knows that. Nobody realizes that. They think, oh, you stopped me because I had no idea what color you were. I had no idea who was in this car, but I saw that you were doing 70 and a 35.
Yeah.
Right? That's a problem. It's a problem for you if you get into a collision. It's a problem for the people on the road if you cause them to get into a collision. You know, hey, I'm going to agree with you. I've never lived a day as a black person. I've never lived a day as a Hispanic person. I've been a white person my whole life, right? So I haven't got to experience racism. Does it exist? I'm sure it does in certain facets, right? Do I see it? No. Do I have black friends? I do. Do I have Hispanic friends? Yes. Do I have Asian friends? I do, right? It doesn't exist in my world. Yeah. And then we go out there every single day and get accused of being racist. Run your thought process about this. People listen. Run your thought process about this. American lives matter.
Okay, so make American lives matter. What's your
American
point?
lives matter, right? They do matter, right? But you say that now, that's racist,
yeah.
Right? This whole thing that's driven. Check this out. I don't know what the tally is, right? Because I had to quit listening to the news.
Yeah.
But there are officers getting killed every single day when these riots broke out. The first couple were black.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Yeah. No, it's a terrible and troubling time that we're living in right now for these facts that we're seeing, and to bring this back home a little bit, because like you said, we could talk about this all day. To remain driven in your own life, I think what's important to do right now is to know your own truth and understand what you see and know for yourself, not what you're seeing and knowing from any media outlet. I don't care what channel it is, Fox, CNN, NBC, ABC, PBS. What is your own truth? What do you know when you go to the store yourself, when you go get gasoline, when you're on the highway, when you're in your house and in your neighborhood? What is your truth? And I guarantee you it's different than what you're seeing on the news.
100%. What you're seeing on the news is horseshit.
And I think if people can start understanding that and realizing that, yes, there are some things going on out there, but the people within those truths need to help that arena and change, those behaviors. But what we know as a society is nothing what we're seeing on the news. And I don't even know if this is a fact. It's something I heard on Andy Frisella's podcast. They said that the when the Civil War happened, less than 30% of the population supported it, but yet it happened, right? And that's what I'm fearful of now is we have a very small amount of people with big, loud voices that the silent majority is allowing to do their thing because we don't want to get wrapped up. And I'm worried that small amount of people is going to change. They're already changing the way that we live, and I'm worried that that's going to be permanent. So
everybody else should be worried too. Everybody else should be scared, because it's real.
Yeah.
This is happening. There's been more things that have happened in the last couple of months as it pertains to people's freedoms, people's rights, people's feeling safe, and it's continuing.
Yeah, well, and so that goes back to, again, when I say know our truths, but also me not wanting to be silent anymore. As a business person, these things are moving like a freight train, and they're changing the way we've done things since the Constitution was written. And they're changing the ways of doing things that have been successful, like you talk about this hold, in law enforcement. Even if that was the wrong hold in that one occasion, that could have just been one bad officer doing something he shouldn't have been doing. Why change the entire network? Because it's a freight train, because the media got behind it. And that's what concerns me. We're not making well thought out decisions for what's best for the country and the people that live here.
That's right. There's bad apples in every profession, every one. I don't know the full story. I don't know the full video. Oftentimes in the media you get bits and pieces and clips and everything like that. Who knows, that video that they posted, it was 8 minutes and something seconds where he was on as a guy. Hey, you ever heard of looping videos? What if that happened?
Yeah.
I don't know because I wasn't there. But everybody takes it and runs with it like, holy shit, every guy who wears the same uniform as him is a racist, no good son of a bitch.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they're saying.
Yeah.
And this is affecting not only every city, county, state in the United States, but it's affecting things outside of the U.S. too. It's got to stop.
Yeah. Well, as individuals, we need to do what we can. Let's not be silent anymore. Let's voice our opinions. I vote with my faith, and which means I've got a faith in God or higher power, whatever you want to call it. I vote with my faith. And so when I go to the polls, I look at who resonates with me the most as it relates to my faith and my family. And, a lot of people don't like who's in office right now for a variety of reasons.
And we need to pay attention to those people who are in office right now who are letting this happen without being they're being a part of the silent majority, letting this happen. And we need to also pay attention of the people who are driving this and wonder, hey, do we want those people in office again?
Yeah, and that's a very good way to put it. So this week for being driven, let's think about
getting started, man.
Getting started.
That's right.
Not being the silent majority anymore. Let's speak up for our own truths, what we feel is right, for who we are as individuals, for what our goals and dreams are. I would venture to guess that everybody wants a little bit of financial security, some happiness, to be left alone with their family, to achieve their own dreams and goals. I know that's why I live where I live in Montana, because I knew that this place was going to deliver on that. And if we all started doing a lot more of that and not being in the middle of all the bullshit that's happening.
That's right. Step away from it for a day, 2 days, a week. You're going to be a lot happier. I guarantee it.
Well, I love the line, and this will be my last big statement. It was a line or a meme. It said, do you want to cure COVID, racism, looting, rioters, and everything else.
Turn off your TV.
Turn off the media.
That's it.
Right?
I saw the same one.
Turn off the media.
That's right.
So for my listeners, Justin and my listeners on Live Life Driven, we're going to continue to be focused on being driven, but we're also going to focus on not being as silent anymore. And hopefully we can help make a change in the better by stimulating thought and provoking you to know your own truths and what you know as your own reality instead of what's on the media. Let's get healthy in our brains, what we're putting in our bodies and in our minds and in our eyes and what we're showing our kids, and start leading by example. Damn it, there's one more thing that I wanted to say on this podcast, and I'm going to let you give a closing thought. Again, Andy Frasilla's got this thing. He says, I can summarize everything I need to know about a person if they leave piss on the toilet seat. And the first time I heard that, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, Andy? And he says, look, somebody goes in and leaves pee on the toilet seat and walks away. They're lazy and they don't care about other people, right? Because you're willing to just leave it there. I'm sure we're talking about a public bathroom. Well, probably your home bathroom too. Whereas there's a person that goes in, maybe they get a little piss on the seat, but they wipe it off because they're thinking about the next person, right? And then there's the third person that maybe they don't get in on the seat, but it's there already, and they take the time to clean it up, clean the towels on the floor, wipe down the sink, and walk out and leave in the world or the bathroom in a better place.
That's right. That's exactly it. That's the point that he's trying to make. It's like, hey, look, regardless of whether you did it or whether you didn't do it, somebody's going to follow you in here, and they're going to think that you did it, right? That you left it on there.
Yeah.
You did leave it on there, right?
Yeah.
So, hey, we're all in this thing together. We're all trying to make America better. Some of us aren't, but we all should be. And if we're not, hey, that's a little dinky, minuscule granule of sand that he's talking about. Hey, that would make America a little bit better.
Yeah.
And it's the finite little things that you do on your daily, day-to-day stuff that show, hey, you did a little bit extra. Just a little. You know how much piss I've wiped off toilet seats in public restrooms, rest stops, bathrooms at restaurants, and everything like that? I do it every time I go in there. And it wasn't since I listened to Andy Frisella. It resonated with me when he brought that up. I was like, this is great, man, because now I don't feel weird, because I would always do that.
Yeah.
I still always do that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway. Hey, thanks for having me again, man. I appreciate it.
It's good. Now, if you're a listener, I would love to hear from you on this. If you're okay with the topic of conversation, I want to hear about it. If you're not okay, I also want to hear about it. I want to hear why. But I am no longer going to be silent in the majority. I'm going to start voicing how I feel, because it's going to resonate with me and my family, and I care about them and my friends and my neighbors and this country and where we're going as a nation. So live life driven. Being driven is going to be about doing the right thing as well. So thanks for listening. Enjoy your week.
See you guys.
Yeah, times are changing everywhere.